Oh, no. They are warriors. They will attack us. No, Capito. They are the Talons, our people. Let them come aboard. I will tell them that you are coming to visit our noble Curaca. Strangers and Indian warriors went in the direction of Tums, which had recently been unified by the Incas. There is the city that these Indians were talking about. We have found what we were looking for. Bartolome, let's not anchor too close. They have armies. Any wrong move, we could be in trouble. Capito. Do not fear. You can disembark. How do I know that this is not a trap to kill us? Capito. If you don't believe me, send one of your men before you go there. What you are seeing is just the shoreline. In the city there are palaces, temples, and the cloisters of the virgins. Men of fame. Do you still doubt our patron Santiago? They are coming to greet us, not to fight. These are civilized Indians. Capitan. You better treat them well. You all have heard what the pilot said. I don't want any one of you maltreating these Indians. I will explain to them our purpose, when it is the right moment. Innocently the natives approached to what they thought it was a floating house. But those are historical conjectures to diminish the Indians. Let them climb aboard, especially that one with large ears whom they say is a noble from Cuzco. On board, the natives admired the Spaniards' clothing and unusual objects. Their curiosity satisfied, the noble invited the strangers to come ashore. Seeing that the noble was a representative of a higher social order, Pizarro invited him to have dinner. Sitting at the table served with new kind of foods, the noble began to question them about their reasons for coming. The Indian hostages from the balsa tried to translate according to what each wanted to hear. Indian noble. We come from the other side of the world. We have a powerful emperor and a god mightier than yours. Our mission is to make you our vassals, and convert all of you to Christianity. Tumbesinos. You who speak their language, didn't you tell the strangers that nobody can upstage Huayna Capac? I will report this to the Inca lord. For now, let me enjoy their wine. Noble of Tums. Have this iron hatchet as a sign of goodwill. One of my soldiers will go with his servant, and inform me about your city. Alonso de Molina, take these presents to their curacaliator, and return to tell us what you saw. Go with the Negro, to protect you, in case they want to harm you. So was the first encounter of two cultures who were in awe of each other, the Spaniards of their gold, and the natives of their paraphernalia. Once on land, the black man was stared at by all. The children, according to the chronicles, tried to erase with their hands the dark color of his body. The leader of the town received the presents, a pair of pigs, and a loud rooster that croaked defiantly. In the city they saw the temple, a fortress, and the cloister for the virgins of the sun. The maidens invited them to savor their cooking, and to have a pick of any of the fine garments woven by them. Did they know of the status of the man of color? We don't know. The Incas knew of social classes, a pattern magnified by the Spaniards' arrival. Unfortunately, black and white people would end up discriminating against the Indians. Unharmed, both returned to the boat. Molina told of the incredible things that they had witnessed. Even their translators could not believe what they were hearing. But then the adventurers had been in the tropics, any civilization was better than what they had seen before. The golden and silver wares were nothing to be disregarded, not even the nobles of Spain drank or ate with such a fine utensils. Pedro de Candia, go and impress those Indians with your fireworks. The Greek, known for his arrogance, wore white attire covered with mail, breastplates, and a plumed steel helmet that shined against the sun. With a sword at his waist and an harquebus on his shoulder, he disembarked. On land, he showed the natives that the Spaniards were men of fire. Perhaps to them, the emissaries of their sun god. The Tumbesinos allowed him inside the house of the virgins, where he must have noticed the young women. The sexually starved adventurers may have suffered hunger pains in their empty stomachs, but their cojones were full of the power of reproduction to impregnate anyone in this continent. For no Spanish damsel would have wanted them without gold, but our women did for the color of their skin, and they still do for their genes. On his return, Pedro de Candia, a learned man, expanded on what Molina said. Once he verified what they saw, Francisco had no more reason to stay. The curaca of Tums gave Francisco a youngster to guide them to the future port of Paita. Who was he? The Spaniards picked up 9 natives in the equinoctial line. Who were they? The chroniclers give no names. The Peruvian historian de Thurberu says that one of the hostages was Felipe or Felipillo, as he was known. Was he? It would be important to know, because he was one of the most important translators in the conquest of Peru. Then, what happened to the others? Were they used as beasts of burden? In which case Felipillo survived on pure cunning, if he was one of them. From Paita they coasted the Bay of Secura, and they anchored in Santa Cruz. Cieza relates that its female leader or capellana invited Francisco to disembark. He declined, telling her that he would visit her on his return. Molina was, again, sent to land. He was well received, and he decided to stay. Bartolomé continued coasting, this time guided by the compass of the Great Andes, which were beginning to be ever-present. In December 1527, 9 degrees past the equator, they arrived to the mouth of Rio Santa, from where they saw the Cordillera Negra. They called it Sierra Morena, because it reminded them of similar mountains in Spain. They had been sailing for 2 months. In every place that they had stopped they were wined with chicha, dined with the unknown papa potatoes, and they had the pick of their women. From Rio Santa, approximately the third of the present Peruvian littoral, Pizarro ordered to steer back to Panama. He had enough proof that an empire existed, although he had heard more about Chincha on the coast than of Cuzco, which was inland. Even the cartographers, who drew the first maps of the empire for the capitulation, placed Chincha and not Cuzco as the center of the empire. The location of these 2 places would create deadly encounters between Almagro and Francisco, as to whom the imperial city belonged when the divisions of lands to be conquered came into dispute. Upon their return they anchored in Santa Cruz to pick up Molina, and to make good on Francisco's promise to visit the town. Pizarro disembarked with Nicolas de Rivera, Francisco de Cuellar, and Pedro de Alcon, who dressed like a buffoon. On land, the noblewoman or capellana had a big fiesta for them. During the festivities, Alcon had been looking at his host with great affection. Meanwhile Pizarro began to act out his goal of subjugating the people not by force, but with symbolisms, telling them that the King of Spain was their lord, and Christianity their new faith. Francisco asked his host to unfurl the standard of Castile, while the drunken Spaniards shouted "Viva el Rey de España!" The natives, without understanding its meaning, repeated in unison what they were hearing, not knowing that in time that same flag would cover the carcass of their civilization.